cutoff is this? Yeah, I'll keep the music to myself. Yeah, right. This. This top position X. How do I get that name? Well, I don't think I'm using it. Am I using it? Of course I'm using it. Definitely using it. Top position. Well, this is just, okay, forward declaration, layout declaration, the definition, and some static assert. And then window.h is using it. Including it, it's only using the size here. And again, only the size. Here we have a pointer. It's a cast. This is probably a hook, let's say. A possibility to actually access it. Although it's also an array, maybe this is commented out. I need to know it's commented out. It is not commented out, it's part of the shader code. That's not helping. This is not part of the shader code. It's not. This is part of the shader code. And that is shader code until, well, maybe it even happens there as well. Shader code ends at line 334. So then the next chance that we get access again is here, which is again a cast. Feels to me that the entry point, say, the point of registration, the point where the Vulkan engine becomes aware of the existence of the top position, it should be here. It should be. The casts that happen here in lines 706 and 707, and as well as 190 here, are part of a hack-ish thing that are probably going to be built on top of what I still have to write. going to concentrate on this code. And now mtop buffer. Okay, so the GLSL ID string is being passed to the constructor here. That's strange because I do not see where that would be. Does a window not have a constructor? It doesn't have a constructor. That is the default constructor of the thing as being used. How is this possible? This should not even compile. Is it compiling? It's not compiling. Okay. Exactly. This thing, and I have two options. I either create it by default constructor and it doesn't know what it is, and then later I tell it, or I designate it to be a single type, the uniform buffer of the top position. The uniform buffer that is being used for the top position. However, I'm pretty sure that what I really want is to combine things in a single buffer. And for that reason I might want it to be dynamic instead of compile time static. Otherwise I really have separated uniform buffers, and I can never really combine them into one. Like I have 3 here, I get 3 separated uniform buffers, but in the end, under the hood, I just want to have one uniform buffer. Most likely, which then has to be achieved by registration, and then the engine is going to say, okay, I see 3 uniform buffers, let's make one of them. under the hood. Maybe, just thinking out loud here. Obviously, I do nothing else. Hi, JC. I'm in the middle of designing. There's no compile error at the moment. I have to concentrate so much that I'm tempted to not even look at the chat, but I do not want to ignore anyone. So yeah, so what I think more than what I say out loud, of course. So I was thinking to either use this top position, declaring the struct that is the layout of the uniform buffer, and that would work perfectly well, but then I cannot combine all three into a single uniform buffer, I'm afraid. I'm not even sure of that, however. Kind of depends. Let's have another look at this uniform buffer. What it has is, oh, it even has a vector of multiple, it's a per frame resource. Yeah. This is unique. So per uniform buffer, and then this one. This one then should be abstract and later combined. The way it is now, that each gets its own buffer, its own allocation in memory. It's not combined at all. So it doesn't really matter. The most important part then is to initialize this string here. And yeah, compile time is the easiest thing, although I might as well do it later. Let's have a peek at the texture. Somewhere I'm having a texture. How is that being done? The texture is just hard-coded. It's not even mapped. No, I should look at the vertex attributes. No vertex attribute. It's more like the heavy something. The what? Oh, that's different application. I'm not having any vertex attributes here. So that's something from this application. Do I have a vertex attribute here? Well, not really. I think then this one is called heavy something. Heavy rectangle. Yeah, see. The push constant is being passed at the defined pipeline level. It's just passing the push constant as a template parameter. But the same thing is needed for the vertex input binding here. And there I'm not passing a template parameter. So then how is it passed here? Because I also have vertex attributes that are linked to a struct, I think. Let's see, the heavy triangle is derived from a class that has it built in as a type. So here it is really part of the type. The heavy triangle itself passes the type as a template parameter. So I'm using both. For vertex attributes, it's part of this type, where the shader variable is being defined, declared, defined, I don't know. And for the push constants, I just pass it here. And there is not even a window member. So that makes it logical that then I do it like this. Okay, let's do it the same as the vertex attribute. So I'm going to make it part of the type. It's a random decision, but it's like, you know, it slightly I slightly lean towards a feeling that that might be the best solution here. So I'm going to pass them like a part of the type here. So I make uniform buffer template, and I'm going to pass the underlying type, which is top position and left position and bottom position. Each of these three already exist. Top position is defined here. It's a bit of a mess because I'm testing all kinds of layouts. Left position is slightly cleaner, but also has an unused thing as a test. And the bottom position is the same as the left position. This is obviously not going to compile because this is a normal class and I have to change it into a template now. It's the only place where it is being used. At least the type. And then we call create on that. The create could be part of a base class. And here we access the vector. A vector can also be part of the base class, I think. On the other hand, now I have to cast it. So now I made a template, I might as well have this pointer immediately return the correct type. Yeah, that's nice. So what is it? Expression going ahead on. Vooruitlopend daarop in Dutch. Going to remove the cast. I now want the pointer to return the correct type. And I'm pretty sure I can remove all those brackets or parentheses. I just have the buffer, I get heck, whatever it is, and then the pointer of that. This is not entirely true. Wait a minute. What I was casting here is what the pointer returns, and the pointer is a member of God's sake, really. Well, the pointer is a member of this thing here, uniform buffer. Right, but means I need an extra template for the memory uniform buffer then that I can return here. Hello, Lincoln Sahu. The motive of Linux viewer is to, well, I have lived in a virtual world, Second Life, for 10 years or so. Doing a lot of work as a developer, worked on the client. And then in the end, politics happened. So I stopped being a developer. I worked for several viewers. And let's say the politics meant that I didn't like anyone anymore, and I just left. But I'm still, you know, feeling like it would be nice to have control over my own viewer. So maybe I am going to use the Linux viewer as a viewer, the word viewer is being used as being the client of the Second Life stuff, virtual world stuff, OpenSim, whatever. But then I can only write things for Linux, so I'm calling it a Linux viewer so that people understand that it is the viewer to use for Linux. But what I'm really working on is just the beginning of a Vulkan engine, so I can do anything else I want with it. And I'm at least as interested in making all kinds of applications that just run locally. So then it's not a client. It's not for Second Life or any virtual world. It's just going to show, let's say, a genetic evolutionary algorithm. It would be wonderful to see, you know, ants run around and follow their path, or three-dimensional robots that learn to walk. Or maybe I'm going to do procedural terrain coding and stuff like that. That's so. I don't know yet. But the name Linux viewer comes from being a Second Life viewer, possibly ever. And I already have contacted someone, a friend of me, saying that I was writing a Linux viewer, so it's a Second Life viewer, or rather I'm not interested in Second Life anymore, but an OpenSim viewer. And he asked me, are you going to use OpenGL or Vulkan? And I said, well, Vulkan, you know, it's more modern. And then he said, oh, good. Then I have more control over the shaders. So maybe, you know, it's not, I would not really, it's almost, but not really totally be alone and write a viewer and then hope that someone will use it. But I have a backup. I have a group of people that, a community that might be interested in actually trying it. Certainly people that own a whole grid. So they can promote it for me to the people that are using the grid. But it's all very far away anyway. I'm not even close to being to coming close to that. And no, I'm not using GLFW. I started with that, but I found it limited, and basically I wrote it myself now. I'm using XCB for the Windows, also Linux specific. GLFW is yeah, it's the go-to for the portable applications. But since I'm only interested in Linux anyway, using XCB directly instead of GLFW is more powerful and even easier for me. I am now so far away from GLFW that I'll never ever use it. Pretty sure about that. Okay, so I think that I need to turn this one also in a template. I think my voice is a little bit deformed, isn't it? If I talk this loud, it's deformed, right? Why is it deformed? Because it's too loud at which point? I don't know. Let me check this here. Testing 1, 2. Okay, it's all in the red here. Maybe I should just not talk that loud then. This should be good. That sounds a bit deformed even at 0 dB. What's your opinion? How does my voice sound? Does it sound professional hi-fi? I have it on my headphones and it doesn't. But that's because I hear my own voice at the same time through my skull and over the headphones, and somehow it interferes. I have a 2 millisecond delay now of a latency. So all the frequencies above 500 hertz, basically everything that's part of my voice is interfering with what I hear through my own skull. It sounds a bit weird. In my youth, I used to be a radio pirate, or more like electronics hobby, and I built a transmitter, and I was transmitting music in stereo, talking with friends, mostly about electronics. And I all my life anyway, of course, I'm a perfectionist by heart. I always went for very high quality. So I'm kind of want to sound like studio quality. Not you know, it's not a cheap microphone. This is a Rode microphone with direction sensitivity. And then a short cable to an expensive, what is it called? The Shure X2U. AD converter for microphones. So yeah, if then you do a distortion after that, that would be a shame, right? Okay, let me go concentrate again on this thing here. It's again a big change. Again a big change. Undo, redo. That's good. Let's keep that. Get diff. Let's make sure that the diff is small at the moment. Get set index. Okay. Let's go to the texture. I don't know. Damn it, it's already quite a lot. I hope that was much smaller. Don't feel like committing yet though. No, it is workable. It's workable. I can look at this again, say even. So I'm going to make changes, and if those changes fail, I have to back up. So that would be maybe I should commit it, but once I commit it, I will never look at it again. So it's kind of throwing away the fact that I made these changes. I want it to be a kind of a milestone-ish thing before I commit. This is not an OpenGL project. So Vulkan. Vulkan is the successor of OpenGL. www.vulkan.org. What am I going to do? I was going to make both uniform buffers a template. Okay, let's do that. Grep project sources, uniform buffer. If I convert your question to what are the goals after this Vulkan project, that's my last project. I have no other goals than finish it or make it some kind of last impact on humanity. After that I will be too old to do anything worthwhile. I don't know how long I can still code at this level, but it can't be long. Less than 10 years, I'm afraid. Normally I work like 7 years on the big projects. I already worked 2 years on this one. So if I do this for 5 more years at a high level, I would have reached more or less, you know, a normal limit in terms of time to work on a big project. But my productivity is degrading exponentially because I'm getting older and losing my memory. So I think that 5 more years is not going to cut it. So I just hope that I can have a functional something that other people will pick up and start use before I'm completely demented old senile guy. It sounds as sad as it is. Sometimes I'm not happy because of this. Thank you, Mr. JC. Yeah, yeah, you're here often. I like that, man. I've been. Let me tell you something personal without tempting to be arrogant, or what is the right term? Opscheppen. Don't know what is in English. I think I told it before on the stream, but I've been tested during my life several times, and what usually comes out of it is a score in whatever test of the skill, of the paper, so high they never saw before, and etc. etc. An official IQ test done by psychologists in a controlled environment, so really totally official. It was scored higher than 165. Other tests were like I just described, just scored you know, the highest rating, high genius scores. I don't think I'm that anymore. Absolutely not. Still can get by, but it's nothing special anymore, unfortunately. But I try my best. That's mostly a memory, I think. If my memory was still perfect, and maybe I would still be up there somewhere. Yeah. I don't feel really dumb. It's just that I can't remember anything anymore. Okay, so for example, where is my uniform buffer defined? VI. You can better go to another window if that exists. Here, same directory. What the heck? Vulkan. So one of them is defined in shader resource uniform buffer.h, and I want to make this a template. I'm going to call it entry, exactly like I did for, I mean, what's the meaning of entry? I have no fucking clue. but I use the word entry every time it's a layout in memory that I defined with that one macro, the layout declaration, what's it called? And we are not passing the GLSL string. I cannot send this. I hate docs. I hate docs like that. I like docs if they shut up, but this is just, what the fuck? This is my living room. How can someone be so antisocial to have their doc audible in my living room? Oh, please shut up now. So I'm just going to turn off my monitor so I cannot hear myself anymore. Okay, so I cannot hear myself, but I guess things are still working for you, and if the dogs start to bark again, then I'm sorry. So, okay, real problem here. I'm constructing now a template class, and I must get the GLSL ID string from the template. I also want to have a I think I want to have a base class for this that is not a template. Simply because it's kind of code bloat if you duplicate this uniform buffer for every type. It would be better if everything that depends on the template parameter gets inlined and the rest is just fixed code. Oh man, that's so bad. I was bitten by a dog only once. And then I said to the owner, "Your dog bit me." And he denied it. "No, my dog bites nobody." I was just biking. I think I was a young teenager. The dog came at me because my legs moved and he bit me in my calf. And the owner didn't happen. So I showed him. He still didn't. It was my fault, you know. It was like he was like pissed off. I don't hate the dogs. I hate their barking, but I definitely do hate their owners very much. When they do nothing about it. Okay, so we made the template, but moved as much as possible to a non-template base class. This one must have a default constructor. And this I want to be also a template, what this is returning. But actually that is it's just a memory uniform buffer. I'm not going to duplicate the vector itself. So the vector itself will have to store uniform buffers. And then the only way that I know that it really is a uniform buffer entry is because that's the way I'm going to store it. I'm not sure yet if that works, but it should, I think. In other words, this thing must be derived from a memory uniform buffer without a template parameter. I can hardly call it base then, right? Because I'm really storing it here as a it's more like a stub. Let's make a completely different thing here. I don't know the word instance. I need to make progress here and finish this. If I start to think in the middle very long about the names of stuff. Okay, so I'm having here a memory uniform buffer. No. So the reason that this class is okay is because I'm going to define a template entry for a class. Might as well make it a struct. That is derived from a memory uniform buffer. And I already have that. Maybe I should add a little bit more. Implement what? Now this thing also does not have any members, so basically it's just the base class. But yeah, I can print a base class. But I also want to print the type here. Well, this is a shader resource uniform buffer with this template parameter. Let's do it. This is kind of a cast. So. Maybe we should just remove that. So that I also have the information about entry, the template parameter. Let's see, Adam, I have questions. I'm asking computer science. I'm taking computer science in C++. Feel like teacher go too fast in class and skip over stuff. Any advice what extra I should do? Learn better. YouTube tells me that there's nobody in the chat. So I guess you left, I don't know. Can hardly believe that's correct though. JC would still be here, right? So I don't know. Adam, are you still here? Well, I cannot really give advice anyway, I think. Print on. The way I would learn things, I think the way that you should learn things is by coding. I told it someone before, was a 16-year-old here who started to code C++, and asked me for advice, and I said, go to learn C++, CPP is it, learncpp.com. Skip over all the chapters, like one chapter every 3 days. Read diagonal. Don't spend a lot of time trying to understand what you read. It's just, take knowledge of the things that they mention. Look at the code maybe even only. Get a feel for, okay, here they are explaining what a float is and what a bool is. And here they are trying to explain this or that. Don't put that much time into it. Then put the time into writing code. So you just make a 1 page or half a page a little program where you use what you saw in the chapter. And then try things out, because you have questions. You want to know the maximum value that you can put into it or the minimum value. Write some code. Think of something. Maybe you can think of, hey, I'm going to store a value and then I'm going to double that value. And then I'm going to compare if the doubled value divided by 2 is equal to the previous value. And then you find out that it's not, even long before you reach the real value. And you see that the difference is really tiny. And then you realize, oh, wait, there is a round off error. So maybe I should compare floats, with a grain of salt. Then you learn stuff, And that way you play, and that way you learn. And then you go to, at some point you think, okay, now I know enough about floats. And then you go to the next chapter. And not 2 weeks later, but 3 days later. Every 3 weeks, you just go to the next chapter. And if you don't only learn 2 hours per week in the weekend, then it's not going to work. You have to work full time on it, of course. Almost full time, I think. And then after 3 months, you work through all of learncpp.com that way. Then you just smelt a little bit what C++ is, and then from there, then every time you learn more. You learn along the way, and you get new ideas for what to do next while doing it. I have had a real job for a while, and my boss asked me, actually it was the boss of my boss, because my boss couldn't handle me, but he asked me, how is it possible that you're always so fast? And then that worked as follows. The project manager would come to me. The company had clients, and the clients had questions, that things that had to be coded. And then the project manager came to me and he asked, how long is it going to take for you to write that? And I would always say, I have no idea. And he didn't like that. But then a week later, I would be finished. So the boss of my boss told me, or asked me, how is it possible that you always is fast? And I answered him, well, in my head, I have an overview of what is likely needed. So many paths that you need to take from what you currently have until the end goal, which is the question of the client. And in between, there are unknown path and half-known path and known path. So yeah, there's a whole tree that all ends up in the end result that you want to reach. And each gets a statistical weight for the chance that you really need it. And I'm always working on that part of the code that is most likely to be needed. In the beginning, that's almost always debug code. So I start with writing debug support. I know for sure that I need to be able to debug my code as soon as there is a bug. So I want to start with code that will allow me to print debug statements. And then eventually I wrote libcwd, which is now what I use. But that was before that time. So, and then I said, so I try to constantly be typing. Don't sit in the corner and think, well, what will I do? You have to keep typing. You have to produce code. You have to make progress literally in lines of code. And while you're working on something, a part of the code, you will get new ideas because you learn while you go. And by the time you finish what you're working on at that moment, which is the thing that most likely will survive, that most likely will not be a waste of your time, then you have ideas for the next step. And that way you continue and you continue and you continue. And then after a week I'm finished, while the other professional coders would take 4 weeks. And I think in learning that's the same thing. You just start, you start coding. And then I can't really tell you what comes next. You will know yourself what comes next. You just have to start. And you see that that's the same thing with this code. What I'm writing now, I have not planned out anything. There is only one point that I'm concentrated on. And I try to continuously add code every day. And I have not planned it out. I did not make the whole design up front. If I would do that, I would never ever write the code that I write. It's impossible to think of this all in advance. Absolutely impossible. Even in detail, right now, what I'm doing right now, this detail, making uniform buffer a template. It's just a hunch. It's just a feeling like, well, I probably, most likely, will need them to be at least a template. I don't know the continuation, but I start typing. I just make them a template. And then after I did that, maybe I know the next step, maybe I don't. If I don't, I just start compiling and I will get compile errors. And then that will give me the next step. And before you know it, it works again. I don't know how many viewers of me stick around for 5 or 8 hours, but you see me do all kinds of, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just trying this, and what the fuck is that? And I make 1,000 changes, and sometimes I change something back. And you think, well, I have no idea what he's doing, and he has no idea what he's doing. And every time, if you would sit around until the end of the stream, suddenly it works. It compiles and it works every time. I invite you to really stick around, and you will be surprised. You think, well, I have no idea what he's doing. And then suddenly it works. Why? Well, because I typed it. Because I typed, not because I was sat down and was thinking, oh, how should I work? No, I typed it in. So what I typed here is I made the uniform buffer template, derived it from a base class. Okay, I have experience. I just You know, I feel like this should be a base class. This is not a template. Now, if you have no experience whatsoever, then of course you cannot get that idea. So that is the power of the experience I guess. That would make me the good coder. That I know that this is necessary or that it is better. Maybe even it isn't, but I think it is. So in the beginning, maybe you would code like this, and you just try something, and it goes completely wrong. You work for 2 weeks, and then you find out that all the work that you did in the past 2 weeks is wrong, and you have to delete it again and start over. That will happen in the beginning because you're unexperienced. But then you did learn, and if it happens often enough, then at some point you don't make mistakes like that anymore. You get a better feeling for what is the right direction to go into. I was JC. I was just as a matter of speaking ish. I know that nobody will have time or the patience. It feels really unhealthy to me to think that someone would have nothing else to do than watch me code for 8 hours on a row, or 5 hours, or 2 hours even. Of course, I understand that most people understand. I see that most people just watch 2 minutes and then they leave. But people that are really devoted to watching me probably watch 1 or 2 hours at most at a time, and that's already surprising. Yeah, you could watch the end of the live streams that are archived. Say the last 5 minutes or the last 10 minutes. Often I just suddenly stop because it's too late or I have to eat, and then nothing happened. You have the feeling that what have I watched? If you would have watched an hour and then you think, where is this going? Where is this going? And before it went anywhere, I just stop and the stream ends. And you think, I wasted my time. But other times I do reach this milestone, and the last 15 minutes of the stream is me going over the git diff and committing it, and it's also a waste of time to watch it, really. There is only a few short moments in all the stream time that it happens, that I say, it compiles, run it, hey, it works, okay, we're done. It's still it even surprises me, sometimes. Let's try to make this work for this case. Now, I obviously now completely forgot what I was doing, so I'm just going to compile and then see where all the errors happen. That's the advantage of watching me with my bad memory. If you just jump in the middle of my stream, you know about as much as me because I forget everything. I repeat everything. I'm like, what is this? And then I have to grab my own source code to find out. And then if you just join the stream, you can enjoy that because you kind of guide it along as well, because I don't know what it is, so I have to look it up also. Okay, we had a compiler here. Error, uniform buffer is not a class, namespace or enumeration. I just bloody define it. Class uniform buffer. And that's telling me uniform buffer is not a class. Uniform buffer is not a class. Uniform buffer is declared here. Excuse me? What a nonsensical error. Now I have to just look at the source code to understand what it means. It means that it is missing an entry here. Might as well add one here as well. Did you notice that I went through some trouble to filter my errors? Before I had to scroll up like this every time. So I went through some trouble to have that automated. Now we only get the top error. So I don't have to scroll up anymore. Missing return type for function uniform buffer. That's simply the wrong name. So we start with all the typos. A redefinition of uniform buffer is a different kind of symbol. Also very funny. There's a for declaration somewhere, I think. So I should have looked better. Previous definition is here. Yeah, that is the for definition. So in this file I need a for definition because I have a reference to a uniform buffer passed to add uniform buffer. That should be a template then. I don't think that add uniform buffer needs to know about the entry, so I'm just going to pass the reference, but then only take the base class like that. Oops, and of course I still need to change this into the base class as well for declaration. I think this is one of the beautiful things of C++ that you, certainly the way I code, and I would say just in general, but it seems that many programmers do not have the same experience, so I don't know what they do. But my experience is I make random changes. I only make half of the changes that I need. I start compiling, and it forces me to fix the code. It's always going towards what I want, you know, compiler, and then it works. It's like it stabilizes itself to the good code, the bug-free code. So if you say you take my program and you use a random generator to randomly change stuff, then it's going to be super easy to fix it again. You just compile it and then you get compile errors because random changes were made, and then at each instance there's only one way to fix it, and that's the correct way. I definitely use that vector a lot. So in this case I just made some changes to the headers, and then it stops compiling until it compiles again. And I hardly have to think. Every time it's kind of obvious what needs to be changed. I'm lazy. Invalid application of size of to an incomplete type. Uniform buffer instance stop position. Oh, that's nasty. I hope that was be possible. I thought it was possible inside here I don't know how to test that then. I mean, of course I can put it here and then now it's defined, but at this moment I do not know the entry anymore. The template parameter. Now it would have been something like this. I'll just not have a static assert, I guess. Yeah, a strict order class is not complete until it is complete. So until the semicolon here. Sometimes that's really annoying. I'm sure there would be a way around it. But well, just a comment will do, I guess. Error: constructor for vulkan shader resource uniform buffer top position must explicitly initialize the base class, which does not have a default constructor. Yeah, I had to fix me for that. This fixed me here. I want to see all the other compile errors that come up before I do the fix me. But I do not get to see them unless I fix this one first. So I'm just going to add the base class here thing, and then that base class needs to get a string, I think. No, there was a string, so I just character const pointer. So I'm just putting some literal, and then at least it shuts up. Well, it compiles. That's surprising me, I must say. I thought that there would be more things come up, but apparently it's this easy. But I did add a fix me. No, my bad memory tells me this is the only fix me that I added in all this thing. But the only thing that I was editing here was this file, more or less. No, it's not true. Also, this is shader resource uniform buffer.h. I also added that memory uniform buffer.h. No, I didn't even. I didn't. I just added this one here, the instance. What is a better name for instance? Maybe it's not even that bad of a name. This is a single buffer. This is derived from memory uniform buffer, which is derived from buffer. So this is really a single buffer. It's really a uniform buffer in the sense of the vulkan. While this uniform buffer, sorry, that's the instance, I meant this one. This uniform buffer is a vector of those things. So it's not really uniform buffer, it's more like abstractly seen, it's a single uniform buffer, but under the hood it's multiple of them. So I can think about it as a uniform buffer, but not really a single instance of it. So this is the only header yeah, this is the only fix me I have, I think. So now I have to implement this, which is going to be difficult or complex, maybe. I would have no idea how to do it. It would take me a week, except that I can peek at my own code and then copy a lot of stuff, I guess. Let me think, how are we going to do that? There's nothing to do here. I have to pass this string here. How do we get this string? I must get this string from entry. What is entry? I don't even know what entry is, you know that. I guess I can print it. Let's start with printing it. So I have some kind of idea what the template parameter is. Just printing this class should work. Now hopefully we get there before it crashes somewhere else. UBT, write to file, crash, look at the file. Core dump. We get here. Yes, we get here. Okay, so entry is simply top position, left position, and bottom position. Yeah, I could have known that. Good example of having a bad memory. Obviously, that is the value of it. I don't want to print this. I want to print stuff that possibly contains my GLSL ID string that I have to pass to the base class. And I can do that by so instead of doing that, I need to print the contents of memory. What is it called? I don't know. Okay, just blank memory. This is pure age. Fortunately, I still can remember keywords that will bring me close to code that I wrote before that is using it. So within a minute I can find it. But it would be more productive is if I just got banged, remember it. Okay, so what I do remember is that it is being used in functions that do something like... I hope that I can remember it. I say it. To be honest, the only thing I can remember is that it's a comma followed by a few dots. Is that everything that I can remember? Maybe this. Yeah, there it is. Let me see. So this function has an entry, and the entry is used here. Okay, that was it. This is what I was looking for. Shader variable layouts, entry, struct layout. That's where I have to start with. This is a type. No, it's not. It's an const expression array. And if I then do declaration type, I get a type of that. And then the members tuple is a type, I guess. Yeah, members tuple is the tuple type. It would be nice if I could print it. I can print types, so I can start with printing this, the declaration type of that array. Then we get more information at least. And I can print types using my library. That's the same way as I am doing here. Let's see, WD, type info off, and then some type. Demangled name. And then hopefully it compiles. No type name, shader variable layout something. Did you mean? Yes, but what? It's white. Why is it white? If it is white, I cannot jump to it. But okay, it says here, did you mean shader builder? I guess I did then. Weird that it does not have a color. It's still not working. No member named shader variable layout in namespace vulkan shader builder. So before I didn't know what shader variable layout was, and then it says, did you mean shader builder? That, and then I do that, and I say, I don't know what it is. Really? Entry that does, oh, that's a problem here. Entry does not refer to a value. What? Declared here. I think this is just a bogus error, because it didn't recognize this as a template, so it gets confused on the next stuff. Let's concentrate on making it understand what a shader variable layout is. Let's grab what that thing is defined. I don't see it. I see a forward declaration here. Going to read JC says. I'm done with the first part of the mathlib. Ah, good. I can now calculate the area of a triangle. Yay! A square, a rectangle, a rhombus, a circle. I don't want to say much, but a rhombus is the same as a rectangle and a square. Special case of it. Circle and ellipse. Ellipse is a special case of a circle. A trapezium. Isn't a trapezium the same as a rhombus with equal sides? So that would also be a special case. A hexagon. Parallelogram. Or maybe I don't know what a rhombus was. I thought it was a parallelogram. And a sector. No idea what that is. Double pi is standard C++. So you don't have to define that. You can just use it from the standard. It is already defined in the standard library. I'll look it up for you. Pi. Mathematical constants. Pi. The mathematical constant pi. No, that's not what you want. Well, there is a pi vi defined in numbers, but you have to use C++20. So that would be std numbers pi underscore v after including numbers. And it's also defined as a macro. So it's more part of C, but C is included in C++ for backwards compatibility. So it is like a PyConst thing or something like that. Why can I not find where this thing is defined? This must become terribly close. Looks like the constructor. No, it's not. What I was looking for this thing here. There must be a file even called like that. Here it is defined. It is defined in Vulkan Shader Builder specialization classes. And then it's being specialized for all kinds of stuff, including when I use layout declaration, which I do. Of course, I'm not going to type this, so in some way, shader variable layouts is being used in a way that it finds that probably by using namespace or something like that. Using namespace that. So maybe I should search for that and then understand how it did it. Namespace, using namespace. Here's a using namespace. Static, struct. Yeah, that's the only thing. Okay, that is included in Vulkan Shader Builder. So if I use it as part of Shader Builder, then it should find it. Which then means that I probably simply should include this header file where I get the error. Let's hope that is then the case. So I'm going to include that header, and now it should work. That worked. Okay. Uniform buffer test, write to a file, crash, look at the file. And now we don't get there, really. How the F is that possible? Session pointer equals in cup pointer failed. Where? What? This is how we assume the encapsulation works. Ouch. It seems that the mangling changed so much that libcwd is getting confused. I've seen it before, not being able to demangle something, but I have not seen this this assert fire yet. What is this doing? As an example, the input could be encap mangled name, being this. Stripped mangled name is this. Then adding 25 strips that from the input. That be all the way up till here. Encap mangled name now points to the qualifier string, if any, RK. Cap pointer encap mangled name plus string length encap mangled name -1. Encap pointer now points to the last E of the encap mangled name. Len is string length stripped mangled name. Pointer is strip mangled name plus len. Pointer now points to the terminating 0 of the strip mangled name. While pointer is larger than strip mangled name, decrease. If pointer is an underscore, now we want to put both pointers on the S, but only if this could be a substitution. Yeah, I think it's assuming a lot about the mangling. Damn it, I have to dump this code and just start using the ABI demangler now, which has been added to the standard, or not even the standard maybe, but definitely it's part of the standard library. So I used to I bloody wrote the first demangler, certainly the first open source demangler in the world for this ABI. Everyone wanted to have it. I got emails from the compilers, standard lib C++, and if you ask me, 2 more, and they all wanted to have my demangler. And then I said, well, they wanted to have it because I had a certain license they couldn't use. So they want me to change the license, and that's how you could use it. So I picked, I forgot. I think standard lib C++. And they said, okay, you can have it, provided you add it as as is, which meant as a templated C++ code. And they said, okay. So I changed the license, and then they said, oh, but we can't use it because it's in C++. And someone rewrote it in C. My name wasn't even mentioned, and I had changed the license anyway. Assholes. Anyway. This is not that. This is more like getting a type name from a, yeah, I should not use this. I'm going to use the ABI approach, especially because this is not working in this case, and I do not want to fix libcwd. When my engine is complete, I have no idea. That's so far away. Will it ever be complete? No, I just work at what I'm working at, and then after that comes the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So no deadlines, no goals. I don't know. Okay, I added somewhere something with the mangle here. This is not working for some reason. I have to say, I'm pretty interested why it's not working. Let's just print it without the mangle name. I think that should work. Maybe not. Let's see, what does type info of do? Returns the value of private type info, which I don't have access to here. Arg, okay, forget it. TPS AB something. Type ID. Can I do a type ID on this thing? Or do I need declaration type as well? Not sure. And it's a print demangled name, demangled type here, I guess. So like this, we're using a library, not libcwd. So I can clearly remove it from my library because it's now supported, or maybe change it so that it's using the RB namespace. Undeclared identify RB, I should include some kind of header. What the hell, where? GPS. What do you mean with wait? I can't stop. I have to keep typing, you know that? Never stop typing. Finally, you have some more information. So that type, which my library was not able to print, is this. Maybe not surprising. It's pretty difficult type. Vulkan shader builder strict layouts. STD tuple. Vulkan shader builder memory layouts. Top position. Comma, Vulkan shader builder basic type layouts. GLSL standard 1, GLSL scalar index 0, 22, 16, 32, 32, comma, 0, 16, 0. Utils, template, string literal, 21, standard array. I wish I would print that as an character string, really. So here's something of 21 characters long, and here's something of 15 characters long. And both are encoded in the type. And I need a GLSL ID string, so one of them is it. I can't say it's really readable. Just have to write a little program, I guess, to convert them to something readable. Nah, I should be able to just get it. Let's get this character array from the type. So what you really have is a struct layout. Struct layout has member tuple as a type. We did that before. Works with both an expression with a head, but also with a type, which is what I changed it to. Well, let's check if it compiles. It compiles. Let me see. No, let's also print it. I don't know anymore. Well, this is a tuple. How many elements do we have? Let me just copy it. Oh, this is already in an editor. Okay, boing. Standard tuple. So every time I see a angle bracket opening and closing, I'm going to add a new line. I think I got them like this. This one belongs to that one. And this one is to that one at the end. This one belongs to that one, etc. And then I still have wrapping lines because this is just very long array. It would be nice if I just could convert this to a string, so I knew what it said. Let's do the same thing here. But instead of doing that and wasting a lot of time, I'm going to print it. So I want to get access to that thing. And yeah, we have two elements, member layout and a member layout, being top position basic layout. And again, and that is the same, but this one is 2 2 and etc. This is 1 1 etc. Pretty sure that those are the two members of top position. This is one member. Yeah, we have two members. This is one member and this is the second member. So likely there is going to be one that has unused as its name. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is 1 long, which the difference is 6. And the difference between 21 and 15 is also 6. So probably the string spells top position colon colon unused 1 and top position colon colon X. And it does, because you see here the 5, 8 is a colon. We have here X, 120 must be X, and then 5, 8 is a colon, and here 5, 8 is a colon. Well, this one ends on 1, and then unused, reversed, colon, colon, yeah. Well, theoretically I have to add all the strings, so I must use the same trick as before, as in the other code. I really have to take this apart in a const expression, to compile time meta code, whatever you want to call it. Whatever. So here I'm going to add some magic, and the magic I get from the other code, which I found before, and I've got of course what it was, but it was like directly after looking for that string, this string. So this code, I suppose. Yep, and then let's edit that file as well as the file that I must add it to. And the magic is this. We're going to repeat this comment or not? Let's repeat it. So it's going to be something pretty close to this. The only problem is that I have to pass it to the base class. Ouch. Which only takes a single ID. What? No, that's not possible. Clearly I can only store a prefix. I think that the prefix should be the same in all of them. So I can just extract the prefix from the first element, and then I don't need to do that magic. But I still need to pass it to the base class, so you cannot do it inside here. I have to pass it. So I need a function that extracts it from entry. Extract prefix, or let's call it GLSL ID prefix. Now let's keep this in it so I can grab on TLSL ID string. This can be dynamic. Not sure if I want to. Yeah, they just passed the name. I'm going to call that DLSL ID string prefix. Is this too stupid or what is it? If I make it a function, then it's less, I don't know. I don't need this anymore. Well, let's first do it here and then add it to the top. Instead I can play with it a bit. So it's still going to be fix me here. Good luck with that. Yeah, JC, you want to... You're on Linux? No, you're not, right? You're not on Linux. Then never mind. I'm going to need to extract the first tuple type for a start. Let's search this again. Search for that again. So just standard tuple element here. What the hell? Why is this a 1? I would say it has to be 2. So this is 0. No, that's not true. The padding is not counted. This is 0 and this is 1. That's why it's a 1. So I just need 0. Tuple element 0 of the declaration type blah blah. Strict layout. No. Member tuple. Member tuple. Tuple element. The tuple element of the declaration type of that thing, the member tuple. I think I already had that. Oh no. Let me just copy everything. But this was a member layout, right? My music stopped. Okay. I think this is a member layout. Which has a GLSLID string. I can just get it from here. That had to be 0. Okay, this is a template, so I need to add a type name here. Otherwise it doesn't know that members tuple is a type name. And then we can extract a tuple element 0 from that. And then I can get a DLSLID string from that, which then is a utils template string literal. From which I can convert to a string view. Or not, because I need to call, I need to get a prefix. I think I have a function for that, which I'm not sure takes a string view. I cannot remember anymore where that function is or what it is called. Something with prefix, yeah, right. That's going to give a lot of hits. A lot of hits. But fortunately, you know, that's not this and not this and not debug and not render graph and not pipeline maybe. This is the function. But where is it defined? Well, it would be, since that is the function, you can also search for this, which is already a lot shorter. Zero variable prefix, that might be it. That looks in GLID str, which is a character const pointer. Not really much use to me, or I should first create a shader variable and then call prefix on that. Nah. It's too bad though. I really do not like code duplication. So no way I can reuse this function. No, this thing isn't a pure Wordle even, so it's not gonna work. I don't think so. Unless No. Yeah, what am I coding or refactoring? My own code. I'm working on a Vulkan engine. It's not refactoring. It's adding more stuff. The main problem is I have to admit that I don't know what exactly is needed. I'm going to have a shader with certain strings in it that I want to find. And I can probably only find them if I add all the strings. There are several strings with the same prefix. So no problem, you would say, just add all of them so I can find them back. And then register them in a map based on the prefix. But I really have to do that. I just have to do that. I don't understand what is going on, to be honest. My uniform buffer has multiple members. Each member has its own string in the shader, which I must be able to find. But the uniform buffer itself, which has multiple such strings, is derived from uniform buffer base, which takes only one such string. In other words, that's nonsense. This cannot be a GLSL ID string because there are multiple of those. Associated with one uniform buffer. What I can do is store the prefix. And only the prefix. But then how am I going to find all the shader variables? I'm going to have to add them and then not add this. It's all kind of confusing. So, well, you have to, you know, start somewhere. At the very least, I think maybe I should just start with renaming it to prefix because that's what's going to be. So I'm going to I say, well, let's just have the code first that works with prefix. Which is all nice and dandy, but then I have to pass the prefix to this base class here. Before I can do this, I have to find out how. And this seems to work. It's probably working, but it's super dirty. I don't like it at all. It feels wrong, and then normally it is wrong. That's the problem. But okay, so this was a template string something. I forgot what the name was. Which could be converted to a string view. Maybe I should just start with that and standard string view. Now and then I can find a certain position. I'm just say let's remove postfix. Does that exist? Just a prefix, suffix maybe. Let's say the colon starts at 0. That's not working. Removes the end of the view back by n characters. So it is going to be the string length TLSLID str size minus. What do you mean with PR? What? Dubious. I probably have to add all of them. Yeah, do you want to give that a base? Okay, yeah, now I need a vertical function. Vertical function then here. Let's just comment out this one, add a fix me. I should eat. It's 2.5 hours past the time that I should eat. I saw the time and I thought I should just stop the stream and go eat. It's not good for me to stream if the result is that I just skip eating. I just feel bad for just cutting it off, you know. I would rather reach some kind of milestone and then stop. So yeah, these are the prefixes. That worked. Hey, isn't that a milestone? JC, you're looking out for me. Thank you. I will do that. Because this is a milestone, isn't it? I can do it. I now have the prefix here. I have a prefix. The only problem is that it's not. There's no problem. It's even just working, man. Prefix. Well, let's say like this, JC. I'll quit. So okay, going to quit. But maybe it's mostly you because you really hang out here. If I stop the stream, we lose connection, and the only way you can get back, if I come back, is by I don't know, watching the email, right? So if I start streaming again, you get an email. And I think I owe it to my viewers, although I don't really have many viewers. You are really someone I see a lot, but I don't know. The other people I don't know. They don't chat or they are only once here or something like that. But let's look at the future. Let's assume for a moment that I would have regulars that come here, not just you, but a lot of people. Then, being as irregular as I am, I would say I'm working, and without really reaching any milestone, I just I'm going offline, and then I don't know when I will be back. I know it works much better if you have a fixed starting point, so people know when you start. You start exactly at the same time every day, and you do it exactly 2 hours, and then you reach a milestone, and then you end the stream. You know, that's nice for the viewers. But I have to admit that I'm not even doing it for the viewers. I'm doing it for myself, so I can concentrate better. So I just begin when I begin and I end when I end. At least that would be, you know, that is the idea. But then what happens is that I feel, what is the word? It's more difficult to stop. Okay, right now I have 4 concurrent viewers, it says. I'm not sure if that's correct. Let's click on analysis. It's more like 3, I think. At peak time I had 12 viewers. On average, I think 4 or 5. Now it's 3. Say if it's some point I had 6 viewers, and then I look at the clock and I think, well, let's eat. So then that's so unsatisfying for people. If I just suddenly quit. And on top of that, I'm saying usually I don't know if I come back. You know, I could say I have to eat. I will be back in 30 minutes. Okay, that would be, you know, then I can defend it. But if I just say, well, I just suddenly feel like dropping everybody, and I don't know if or when I will come back, that's unfriendly. It's inconsiderate. That's how I feel. So it's at least more difficult for me to go eat. But you don't have to come back. Obviously, it's completely up to you. I just don't want to be inconsiderate towards you and towards other people by suddenly going away and not even saying when I come back. And but it's the same every time. If I stop coding, I don't know when I will feel like it again. Although I do nothing else than code or play Risk. So what I usually do is I go upstairs, lay underneath my tablet, and then see if there's something to do online, and or watch a movie. Now it's already so late that it's pretty unlikely that I will come back to code. Not sure. Yeah, it's definitely better for me if I would feel like that. Just I should code when I feel like it, and not code when I should do something else like eat. But then I am totally inconsiderate, I think, towards the viewers. So I would not deserve having, say, 100 viewers. What's never going to happen, of course. But you know what I mean. Not if I schedule things like this, like not at all. Just on a whim, going on and offline. Yeah, the way you do it probably works best. I think if you have my stream on, you are coding yourself, so I'm not bothering you. I hope you also have some music if you want. I can't play the music. I'm listening to DIFM now, and if I plug that through, and I would love to, then YouTube will cancel my account because it's all copyrighted music. I bet. Okay, let's cook dinner, and then I'll probably be back tomorrow. So have a good night, or how late? How late is it where you are now? It's 20. It's a 8:45 here in the evening. What is your time? Yeah, no way it's 9 p.m. where you are. It's probably 8:45 as well, right? Yeah. So where are you? I am in the Netherlands. So you are in France or Spain or Germany, or I don't know what other countries there are that's somewhere in Europe. You cannot be in England because that's an hour earlier, I think. No, you don't have to tell me. But somewhere in Europe. Yeah. Before you said I cannot watch you because of the time zone, but we are on the same time zone. Poland. Okay, Poland still has the same time zone, yeah. Just, I guess. Cool. How is Poland? Are you suffering more than here from the Ukraine war? Because it's closer to you? I guess not. Shouldn't make that much difference. I don't know what they're doing over there, but probably I think Europe is keeping the war alive. I have the feeling that Europe and America want this war. They are to blame for it. It's sad for the Ukraine people, definitely. Right, so they are victims. There must be a huge lag here. Okay, yeah, good for him. No, they're abusing this war just like they were abusing coronavirus. The whole objective is to get the energy prices up in Europe. I cannot understand or grasp why, but that's absolutely why they do this. Probably all with the idea to have more control. It's like one of those important people once said, Kissinger, I think. If you control the food, you control the people. If you control the energy, you control the continent. If you control the money, you control the world. And they're doing it all. They're going to do it all, including the money. Watch the digital money come. No more cash. Everyone is completely victim, completely controlled by the government. It's going to be like China here, everywhere in the world. Yeah, a fucking virus never existed. Well, it existed, but it was never serious. It's seriously not serious. They've blown it up like crazy. They wanted people to panic. It's just been used. We have had this viruses like it before, and then nothing was done. Mexican flu, for example, in the past. Nobody cared. But now they thought, hey, maybe even they release it, deliberately. They needed it. When Trump became president the first time in America, Biden was upset and he said, Trump is going to get he's going to be president while a pandemic will, what is it in English? He already knew that the pandemic was planned, was it? And then things went wrong for them because Trump won the presidency and they never had expected that. And then the pandemic had to come anyway. So then the pandemic started while Trump was president. That was not the plan. But the virus was the plan, definitely. They're playing such a dirty political games here. It sickens me. I never let myself vaccinate. I am not unvaccinated, thank God. I never believed it. They wanted it too much. It's all about control. So sometimes you can do nothing, but as long as I can get away with not doing what my government is saying, then that's what I do. Nothing. I am not going to be, what is the word, gehoorzaam? I'm not going to obey them. Fuck them. Okay, I'm going to stop the stream before some AI is going to hear what I say and I'm being censored. It seems to be less serious. I picked up somewhere that YouTube changed its silently changed its censor politics. Before you were losing your account if you said something like that the masks don't stop viruses and that the masks don't help. They don't help. And now they silently changed that. Now you're allowed to say that vaccines don't help spreading the virus and that masks don't help, etc. You're not banned anymore. So they're moving on apparently.